here. I'm going to learn this. Watch. There it goes. And testing 1, 2, 3. Now I got to figure out if anybody can see me. Can you see me? Can you hear me? That'd be funny. Let me see. So we have that one. And then we have switching account. Then we're going to go to the studio. Go figure. And then live. Okay. All right. I think it's working, but I don't know. Okay. Can you hear me? If you could hear me at all. I don't want to double come into here. All right. I think it's working, but so I think I need to unmute my studio itself and then it'll work. So I'm going to wait until people come in, but I am pretty stoked. I'm hopefully getting better at this technology thing. And I have to figure out, how do those streamers, like, is it that people just do the bell icon and that way they know when their folks are coming? Because I've been messaging people and I'm like, oh, this is getting a little hard to text people each and every time. I'm just saying. So in the meantime, I am pretty stoked to have week 6. I committed to 6 weeks coming on live on a weekly basis so that we could re-listen to older episodes of the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. And I am not sure who is on, but if you could let me know, at least by letting me know whether you can hear me, that's number one. And then we can kind of start. And so let me know where, like, first of all, if you could hear me and where you are listening from. You know what? I need to learn how to do my sounds a lot better. Let's see. Sounds. Right? We could do sounds. I don't know if I like that one. How about this one? I like that one. I need like better, like more intriguing music. Let me know if you guys can hear anything. Can you hear any sound? I don't think there's any sound whatsoever. Uh-oh. All right. We're going to figure this out. Let's see. We're going to go to properties. No, it's on. It's fine. All right. Let me know if you guys can hear me. Oh, no. See? Ahí está. All right. That's not muted. I shouldn't be muted. This should be good. You should be able to hear me. And then we're going to go to... Let me see. I'm starting to see messages come in. All right. So, in the meantime, I still haven't seen any messages. I know that it takes a minute. Let me know where you are dialing in from. I'm hoping this is working. I should be connected. All right, hold on. Let me see. Awesome. Okay, good. I'm starting to see the chat now. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Perfect. All right. This is good. Excellent. I was wondering because I had to mute certain things here so that you guys didn't get the reverb over here. So I figured we are going to get started. I'm going to let a few people kind of trickle in. I think there's a couple of people already on the chat. I'm starting to see them come in. But give me a second. It's hot in here. I'll be right back. And we're about to get started. I picked an interesting episode, so hang on. All right. Let's see who's here. Let's see, let's see, let's see. Oh my God, this feels so much better. I was hot, 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 hot. All right, everybody, let's get started. Whoever's here is here. Y vamos a empezar la fiesta. Let me lower my volume because some people were complaining. All right, everybody. So first of all, I would like to say welcome to everybody. I am super thrilled that we are here today. And this is the 6th episode. As we are going through today, please, of course, stay on the chat. I see you. I see you. I'm starting to see the chat come in. And let me know what state or where you are logging in from. And last week, let me tell you, last week we had a party over here. It was great. And we had a lot of involvement. And that's why I'm like, this doesn't work unless we all work together. I picked a really interesting topic for today. And I want us to kind of chat about it. So we're going to listen. We're going to stop. We're going to talk about this, chat about this. And I am, let me see. Oh, cool. You know, there's Floridians in here. I see it now. There are Floridians here. Go figure. Look at that. All right. So we are going to get started. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this because we are going to start playing the episode. The episode that I chose for today is episode 45. Why, oh, why do we have to get a godparent? I figured we could enjoy this. So I hope you guys are ready. Let's type in the chat. And this is going to be a good episode for us to kind of chit chat with each other as we are going through today's episode. I want you to keep something in mind. I only committed to six episodes of this. What I am considering whether this is going to be an ongoing thing. whether this is going to be an ongoing thing, whether it would be helpful, whether it is worth it, because this is time that I have to fight with technology. Those who have been with me from like week 1, 2, and 3, or you guys know what I went through. Um, Let me know. Keep this in mind as I'm building the community. And I need to start figuring out how to get the right people here. I would love to have going forward a combination of priests and alejos and aborishas, because this information is using the experiences of priests and even aborishas and the experiences of everyone. But it's good to have priests around so that they can tell you, you know what, that's a good piece of advice. That is a hella good piece of advice. And so going forward, I would like for you to keep this in mind so that you can give me feedback. And what I realize is that not everybody, like, I know that I'm going live, but I think I need to post this in many more places in order for it to be seen in advance. And I haven't done that. So I don't know if I need to commit to another 6 weeks until I perfect this, if this is going to continue. All right. So let me know if you guys are ready to begin the episode, and we are good. So welcome, welcome. I'm starting to see y'all all in the chat. But I told you there were Floridians here. I told y'all. All right. So I decided that we're going to do episode 45. If you look at episode 45, this came out January 11th, 2021. Episode 45, Ask a Priest, which is now going to be Ask Orisha Wisdom, but I'm not changing anything because that is what it was. Why, oh, why do we have to get a godparent? All right, so we are going to get started. La fiesta empieza. Let's go, peoples.
You're listening to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, episode 45.
Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast, where positivity and spirituality create an enhanced life's journey with the wisdom of Ifa and Orisha. I am your host, Iya Omileti Olubumi.
Welcome to the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. I am Iya Omileti. Thank you so much for spending some of your time with me to talk about all things Orisha, spirituality, and growth. So turn up the volume in your car. This is going to be a good one, but if you want to keep it for yourself, put it on your earbuds and blast that sound. Grab something good to hydrate with, and let's chat. This episode is being brought to you by our sponsor, Alejos 101. This is a program created to help the new person who is interested in the Orishas and is tired of 100 Facebook groups, books, and more books, and have yet to find a good priest to work with. It's also for the Aborishas who, for one reason or another, don't have a godparent, but this is still the spiritual path that they would like to pursue. And they are not alone. If any of these scenarios sound familiar to you, then Alejos 101 is a great choice. It's an in depth program with year long benefits, which will take you step by step through the A to Z's of being an Alejo and have a great experience. If you want to know more, of course you do. Go to www.orishawisdom.com/A, like Apple 101, coming soon.
By the way, I'm pausing it here. Alejos 101, I still stand by that program. And I kind of, there's a story to why that never came out again. And that's done. And that's over and done with. And somebody pointed out a couple of things. So Alejos 101 will be coming back, but there's going to be a 2.0, because especially in the past couple of years, there's a lot of other things that were not even mentioned in Alejos 101, which I think are imperative, but here we are. Anyhow, Let's continuar la fiesta.
This is an Ask a Priest episode. What is that? For those of you who are new to the podcast, first of all, welcome. This is a series that we have where you, the community, asks questions that you've always wanted to ask a priest. And now you have the chance. I'll put it on the show notes on how you can ask your burning question and possibly get your answer here on the podcast. But if you really want to know, it's easy www.orishawisdom.com/ ask a priest, no dashes, just all
Ask
together.
Orisha Wisdom.
With that,
Not a priest anymore.
let's get this episode rolling. Maria asks, why do we have to pick a godparent and what are they supposed to do for us? First of all, Maria, thank you so much for your question. Being that this is the beginning of a new year, I think that it's only fitting that we start from the beginning. And this is a good spot to start at. When you are new and come to any forum and ask a question, you will most likely get this answer. Ask your godparent. Talk to your godparent. It's annoying, I know. But there is much truth in there. Let's unpack that for a bit. I am going to list in a no particular order on the reasons. And I want you to know that this is not a complete list, but I'm hoping it's going to be helpful. Why are you supposed to pick one? Great question. Here are a couple of answers for you. Because the structure of our traditions, it's as simple as that. This is a communal tradition. We cannot do it by ourselves. So if you need ileques, you must receive them from your godparent. No, you cannot buy it at the closest botanica. No, somebody is not going to bless it for you and put some smoke and Florida water. No, they have to be received. And the person that you're receiving them from is your godparent. The moment that you choose to get ileques, warriors, hands of Ifa, anything like that, that means that you are receiving these items from your godparent. I'm going to give you a side note. Before you receive anything spiritual, other than a reading and the spiritual work that comes along with it, like in a bow, not receiving something like ileques, warriors, stuff like that. We are hoping, I am hoping for you that you have had many, many, many conversations and really know what you are getting into, what is expected for you, what is expected from you, and what your godparent will give to you. Here's another answer.
I'm going to pause this here. This one, we're going to have to probably pause a lot more than past episodes. We do have priests on board, so I'm kind of hoping that they will chime in. Here's a couple of things. I've known people that as soon as they talk to a priest, they're already saying, oh, that's my padrino. That's my madrina. Let's talk about lukumi only. That's the only thing that I can do. So I'm not going to talk about anything else other than what we are going to really, truly, truly visit at the moment. So just because you're having conversations with a potential priest, that does not make him your godparent yet. We're talking lukumi only. Okay. And I believe we have a babalao here that practices more traditional, although he's very aware of lukumi practices. The rest of us, I think, over here are lukumi. We're not knocking traditional people. We're not knocking traditional. We don't do that. But we are here to understand at least the traditions that we are discussing. We're going to base this on lukumi. Having 20,000 conversations with a said priest does not make him your godparent, does not make her your godmother. And I think that this needs to be emphasized because a lot of people rush to have godparents, and that is a problem. That is a big problem. Also, just because you get one reading doesn't mean that that person is going to be your godparent. And in Lukumi, there is only one way to go in and become a godchild for an Olorisha. And that is very simple. That is Plato Coco Vela. That means you are under the guidance of said godparent. We call it a godparent, a said priest, Olorisha, and you are under the protection, under the umbrella of that priest's, male or females, Orishas. Okay? So we are going to continuare esta party. So here we go. So we're going to continue on. This is actually a short episode. So this might be good.
In our traditions, I'm pretty sure you know, we are big on elders because they are supposed to teach. They have walked the path that we're just starting to not even crawl on. This road is meant to teach you humility, as you will have to honor this person for the rest of your life. We get a choice of who we choose to guide us.
I'm going to stop here for a moment. This is what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be that you make this choice for life. And in the chat, just based on who I see on the chat, you're going to see that they're going to tell you not everybody stays with the godparent that they started with. Not everybody stays even with the godparent that crowned them. Crowned them meaning that they went into the priesthood of Orisha. And it is important for you to know that because sometimes we feel trapped. We feel, oh my God, I'm stuck here. What if a bad decision was made? What if you didn't inquire? What if you didn't vet said priest and they were a total jerk? They were we're not talking about not even legitimate. We're just talking about they were jerks. They treated you badly. We have a lot of priests. And in the Orisha Wisdom podcast, we have spoken about that there are a lot of things that should not happen, which is why I like to talk about it, because if we do not shine a light on it, we will never know what's there. So, yes, it's supposed to be for life, but if you need to, there's a way out. Make sense? But I don't mean that you should go bouncing around from place to place trying to get a new godparent just because you don't like what they had to say. All right, let's go.
Us spiritually on this plane. And I usually say, like, we don't have a choice because you're already born on who your parents are, but you get to choose your godparents. So you have that. Here's another answer for you. If you are meant to be an initiate, meaning a priest in our traditions, like going through cariocha, it's also called if you have to make santo, then without a godparent, you can never, ever be initiated. They have to put ashe on your head. And this will never, ever happen if you do not commit to that godparent and he or she to you. Now, let's move to the part of what it is that they are supposed to do for you. Wow, this is a lot. And this is the portion that I am going to condense it for the sake of not being here talking for hours and hours. Like I mentioned before, this is also not a complete list, but it will give you an idea. And it's just an idea because until you realize what all these things really mean, you tend to really, really care for your godparent because they really do a lot. One of the things that your godparent is supposed to do for you is definitely assist you with your spiritual readings. Some godparents don't do readings for their godchildren. This is okay. What I said is that they will assist, meaning that if they don't have the skills yet to do readings, or they just don't want to, or they just are not confident, or whatever the case may be, they are responsible to take you to another priest to read you. This is a big responsibility because they are using their network to take care of you and your life problems so that you can be in a better place.
I'm going to pause this for a second. And this is, we got some newbies here as well, or semi newbies, not really newbies, but you know what I mean, like semi new, non priests. Here's the thing, I'm going to further simplify it. You go to your primary physician. You go to your primary physician, and something spiked up in your blood tests. And they're like, I think you need this specialist over here. I think you need, the specialist for whatever. Let's say the A1C is a little too high. I think you need to see that specialist for that. And it's a history in your family. So what they do is that they refer you to that specialist, but you're still under the care of your primary caregiver. And this goes into it. I know many priests that don't read the Diloguns. Many don't. However, they will take you, they will sit there. It is their responsibility. And here's another thing, as a godchild, it is a respect that you give them to go with your godparent to said reading. And it's going to seem old school, like they're hand holding you, but there are so many reasons for that. Sometimes you know what, let's just call it the way it is. Sometimes they like you. That other priest may like you, and they're like, I would love to have him as a godchild. He's always there. He always helps out. He gives me extra. He gives his godparent extra money. Look at that. He gave him a wonderful gift for Christmas. I'd love to have that. And all of a sudden, all these kinds of funky readings are coming up. So it sounds kind of bad, but it's true. It happens. And here's another thing. Most priests will say, do you have a godparent? Because they're not supposed to read you without your godparent present. However, will it happen? Yes. Are there instances where that's happened? Yes. I'm one of those. I had to do it, and I don't regret it. I just wish I would have done it sooner so that maybe I could have had a better way out. But it happened the way that I guess it was supposed to happen. All right. So I wanted to pause here because some people feel, I've heard this, that if a godparent cannot read the Diloguns, that they're bad and they don't know anything. That's not true. They might be a good advisor. They might have a good ache. They might be able to work their baths like none other. They're able to throw coco to their orishas, which means that when it's your turn, they'll be able to help you. They're a good ally. They give sound advice. When you go into an event, sometimes it's literally like being let loose in a pool of fucking piranhas. And for some priests here, they will attest to this. It's almost like out on the hunt or out to kill or out to bite. Those godparents are there to be the buffer. The moment it's like, tú tienes un padrino, tú tienes una madrina, you have a godparent, and you say, yeah, who is it? And you point right over there, then they're like, oh shit, we can't mess with that person. It's protection to you. Also, you're gonna find out as you come in that there's a lot of fake Orisha mountings. They do very general messages, and it is very good to have that godparent there with you so that if anything happens, that godparent can be like, yeah, I don't know about this, or here's the translation to that. And I just saw on the chat, reading the Diloguns is not a calling for everyone, which is true. What if your ache is to make baths that, man, you put a finger in that bath, that's it, your life changes, and that's the ache, that's the ache. But a godparent's job is to make sure that if you need a reading, they will make sure you have it. If you are in an Ifa-centric house, that means, let's say, I'm the Olorisha, you're my godchild, But I'm not a babalao, but it's all these weird readings that are coming out. I'm like, you know what? I think you need to see Ifa. I'm going to take you to Ifa. See, that's another specialist. That doesn't make me as a priest any less, but I need a specialist. So this is how we need to consider said priests that don't read. All right. Let's continuar la fiestecita. Vamos.
This is a huge thing that they do for us. They are also responsible to accompany you and assist you with all of your spiritual work. Yes, now you heard me right. Accompany. They are there with you every step of the way. Let's say that in your reading, you have to do an ebo to a batara, right? You have to go to the mountain to drop off something. They are responsible to go with you and invoke the Orisha on your behalf and help you with the ebo or do the ebo and you stand there. They have to be there with you. Another point is that godparents are your key to connecting to Orisha. Many are under the false idea that just because they love Yemaya, they can create an altar for her after they watched a YouTube video. And they can invoke her, they can call her, and they can put all these little things from the sea, and they call her, and they put some incense, and they put some crazy magic water because this is a big YouTuber. And this is far, far from the truth. You need the ashe of that priest to call on to the Orisha with prayers that only a priest can say because they have gone through the rites of Gariocha.
I'm going to stop here for a minute. All right. I haven't heard this episode since I spoke it. So now we need to talk about it. I agree with one thing and disagree with another. Let's go for it. One, I agree. So back then, I wasn't much into TikTok, even though TikTok was a big thing, but I wasn't in it. So I wasn't even aware of what was going on in the TikTok universe when it came to spirituality. And I did not realize how much craziness was out there on TikTok and Instagram as well as YouTube. I just remember that at that time, YouTubers. Here's the thing. Can you pay homage to an Orisha when you don't have it through ceremony? Yes. This is where I'm going to change my mind. I'm not saying that you need to do what the YouTubers do. I'm not saying that at all. So now I'm going to talk about this because this is where my life changed. In 2021, I was still married, and I really wholeheartedly believed that only a priest could speak on your behalf. I don't agree with that at all anymore based on my personal experience. I'd love to see what priests here have to say about that. And if you want to eat me, I have a godparent. You could eat him. Good luck. So here it goes what I'm saying. Do I say that brand new people need to create an altar? No. However, so I'm going to give you an example that my own godfather did to me. I don't have the ocean by me. Like, it's at a minimum 3.5 hours away. I have only been there once in the past 3 years. Twice, because once I went to an event that was close to the ocean, and I was able to grab some water and sand because I miss the sea. Just saying. Anyway, and my godfather said, Mira, why don't you do a prayer to Yemaya? And my thing was like, no, we're not doing that. Why not? I don't have her. He goes, listen, what you're going to do is you're going to get a glass of water and you're going to light your little candle. You're just going to talk to her. You don't have to do none of those old prayers. You're just going to talk to her. You're going to ask her for what it is. Put a little whatever it was I was told to put it there because you're not close to the ocean. When you're done, you're going to take that to the river. I said, okay, no problem. So another thing that I was told is that, yes, you can have like a picture of said Orisha. You can light a candle for that Orisha. You can put a glass of water for that, Orisha, just to remember, but that doesn't mean you have it. You're paying homage. The way that it was explained to me, that in old Puerto Rico and in old Cuba, not everyone was a priest. So what do? Let's say I love Yamaya, and let's say that I want to talk to her, but I can't go to the water. I can't go to the ocean. So what I could do is just put a little cup of water, light a little candle, and say, mira, esta velita es para Yemaya. This glass of water is for Yemaya. Please, I'm praying to you for blah, blah, blah. This is what's going on. Thank you so much. And then when you're done, you put it away. Some people keep an area just for that, but it's not the type of intricate altars that I have seen that are done with all kinds of crazies, okay, and all kinds of stuff. So I I have, like, for me, my godfather doesn't live close to me. None of them do. However, I keep very close to them except the Ifa one that he's busy running around the world, literally. But with all my other godparents, I communicate. So they'll tell me what you could do is for Setarisha, listen, go, let's say you want to do something with, Elegba. Well, Eshu, I have Eshu at home. That's different. Let me pick somebody else. Oshun, right? Let's go to Oshun, and we're gonna go to the river. You can throw your 5 pennies there, and you can give a prayer to Oshun, and you can just talk to her. My name is so and so. Bring you 5 pennies. I bring you some honey. Listen, mother, I'm having some trouble because of ABC 1, 2, 3 and ABC again. So this thing that I was taught, I just want you all to know here right now that I was taught in my old Egbe that only a priest could speak on Orisha's behalf for you. That is not true. That's not what I was told. So I am going to put that out there for everybody here because I taught that because that's what I was taught. So I want to make sure that now we stand corrected. So if you're having trouble with whatever, let's say, and you're like, listen, I need a leg, but please, Baba, open up my roads. Go to the crossroads, drop 21 pennies or 3 pennies if that's all you got. Drop some, whatever it is. You say something to Elegba and you keep it moving. But not that a godparent is the only one that could speak on your behalf. But I will say that when you are with a godparent, you have that godparent be there for you every step of the way. So even for me, I had to go somewhere and I went to a drumming. I asked permission and I said, I'm going over here. Who's going to be there? Well, this person's going to be there. Okay, baby. He knew who it was. It was all great. I was under great protection no matter where I went. You also have to give them that respect because there are a lot of things that priests will not tell you because they don't want to scare you. But the truth is, many, many bad things could happen when you are at events unaccompanied. Yes. Bendición. Baba, I see you. So yes, I literally, Baba, I don't know how long you've been around, but I just corrected the podcast because in the old Egbe, I was taught that only a priest could speak on behalf of the Orisha for you. And that's not true. And now I'm being taught otherwise. And I wanted to make that correction from the podcast because I was taught before that you could not do anything with an Orisha because a priest had to be there to say it and do it for you. Now, am I going to go some chicken for Oshun without my godfather? Hell no, we're not going to do that. What about if not without permission? Nothing is happening without that priest being there because that's my godparents' job, male or female, whoever it is for you. All right, so I wanted to make this correction before we continue. Let's continue. I don't want to mute the page. There we go.
They are also the key when you want to bring something to the Orisha from your heart. Why is this? Just because, let's say, since we were talking about Obatala, let's say you love Obatala That doesn't mean that when you dropped off whatever it was to the mountaintop from your heart, I got to make the sound from your heart, that the Orisha actually received it.
Remember what I just said. This is exactly what I was taught. So now I think we're going to have to redo this one. You can go to the mountaintop. If you want to give something from your heart, you should already have a teaching from your godparent. This is where godparents are also very important. This is where you're not going to go deliver a bottle of rum to Obatala because you would be taught the why not. So this I fully rescind. Now I may need to do another podcast episode. Just saying. All right, let's go.
When you bring your gift to your godparents' house, it gets presented to the Orisha shrine right away. Orisha gets invoked, and your godparent speaks on your behalf. And some of them will actually allow you to speak, and then they will close, like you will speak first, and then they close, and then they speak on your behalf. This is so that you can speak directly so that the Orisha can hear you. Why is this so important? Because honestly, how do you know that when you went to the mountaintop, remember, Obatala, because you really, really love him, to drop off something to him, that it was he who heard you or even received it? When you have a godparent, this is something that is taken care of for you on your behalf. And that is going to be a big aspect of this worship.
I'm going to pause this. So, is what I said true? Yes, in part. So, if I am going to go to my godfather's house and he can attest to this, I will probably bring something and I will present it. Here's the difference. So, when I was over there, I'm going to call it just over there. When I was over there, um, everything had to be very ceremonial and it had to be presented and and then it was just a lot of pomp and circumstance. Now that I'm out of that and I am in a different house, I literally have privacy with his orishas to speak my heart out and to deliver whatever gift. And yes, once I am done, I am lifted, but it isn't as and then he says something and then whatever. He might, but that's not necessarily true. So I think that this will have to be re-recorded because that I'm going to leave it exactly as is because it was there. It's what I believed in at the time. But can you go to, for the example, to the mountain? Let's say I wanted to bring, I don't know, shea butter to Obatala for whatever coolness, and it's not an ebo, but it's something that I am offering. Can you do it? Absolutely, you could. Absolutely, you could. I would I do that just to do that without my godparent knowing? No, I wouldn't. But what if you don't have a godparent? So this is where a little bit more structure and advice will be in place versus you doing it on your own. Um, as I am now back to being an aborisha, and I'm very proud of it right now, and I'm enjoying the babyhood. Believe me when I'm saying that. It's different because I acted as a priest for more than a decade. So I already know certain rules, and there's still things that I won't do on my own. And I'll be like, he's like, you didn't know you could do that? I'm like, no, I ain't doing that. Like, you crazy? Orisha gonna kill me. It's like, no, do this, this, and that. Because he's not there to physically be there. There's certain things I can, like going to the elements. Like I can say in the woods, if I'm by, I don't know, a big tree, mafirefun chango. If I'm whatever, mafirefun osang. And you don't need a whole coconut and a whole chicken and a whole whatever. But it needs to be done with a little more structure. And I think this aspect that only a priest can talk on your behalf, but it is true. You can go to a priest's house to deliver said gifts from the heart to the Orishas. And I think that that's excellent as well. And I think that pays homage to that godparent who's also being there for you in your life. Okay, seguimos.
Another one that I have for you, a big responsibility that a godparent has is to accompany you to all, I'm going to say this like all spiritual events. If you have been in these traditions long enough, you will hear stories of folks who have shown up to the drumming of whoever without their godparent and something bad happened. Why did that have to happen at all? They should have shown up with their godparent. That is why they have one. Godparents protect you from anything or anyone at that event or any event. If you go alone to an event, you might want to do something or participate in something that isn't for you. And then who knows what may happen? You might get hurt. You might have to deal with an elder making an example of you in the middle of an event. I can attest to this because this happened to me. I didn't have a godparent. I didn't have a godparent, and still I can feel that spit of that priest in my face for yelling so close to my face. So if I would have had a godparent, I promise you that that wouldn't have happened at all.
Here's the story to that. I think I've told the story before. I was brand new. I had no godparent. I was in Alejo, greeny, green, green. This was my first drumming ever attended. It was open to the public in Julia de Burgos in New York City. If you're in New York City, you know where this is. There's a lot of Santeria drummings that are done there. A lot of it's a cultural center now. It used to be a school, from what I understand. Anyhow, and I was so excited. This was posted to the public. Anybody can show up. And I was so excited. I was very young. I was in my early 20s. I had jeans. I had a white skirt over it. I had my white little wrapping with little whatever it was on top of it. Oh, no, it was my second drumming, mind you. Sorry, second drumming. And it had little butterflies on it. I was so excited. My white shirt. And it was getting packed. I didn't know what it was. And they asked me, hey, why don't you stand by the wall? I was so excited. You could see a throne there. There were pots there. So I figured those were the Orishas by now. And it was filling out. So we're waiting. I don't know what we were waiting for. I know now, but I didn't know then. And we're waiting. And I must have looked out of place. And I think I recognize that now. I must have really looked at a place. I must have looked like a true Alejo because the guy came up to my face like, are you an Alejo? Like, no way. You got Ocha? And I was freaking out. I was like, no. You got Ocha? I was just like, I couldn't even say. That guy was screaming in my face. And he basically was spitting in my face. That was true. And I didn't know. He was like, you can't be here. Go to the back. And I didn't know what it was. I mean, the guy had just told me to line up by the wall. I lined up by the wall. Like, where the fuck did you want me to fucking go? And what it was, so I went to the back. I wanted to die. Everybody was staring at me. My face was to the floor. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I was so embarrassed. My face was burning. And this woman, she leaned over. I'll never forget her. She was an African-American, slender woman, tall, real tall. She was dressed in this royal blue African garb with a big, tall gele. I didn't know what that was back then. And she whispered to me, sometimes people's heads are bigger than their crowns. And that's it. She just leaned back. I was hoping she would say something like, I'm sorry, he was such a jerk, motherfucker. But she didn't. And so what it was is that was an añá for the public. I don't even know how that happens, pero here we are. So it was the añá drums that were coming out, and only priests could be in the front, and the public could be there, but to the back. But I didn't know that. That was not in the flyer. Okay. So that was the story. All right. Vamos a seguir.
Plus, it's also considered extremely disrespectful to show up to any spiritual event without your godparent. Another reason why this is also very a part of their responsibilities and why this is important is because they help to translate and help you with any messages that you may have received from an Orisha or Egun, depending on the event, and their experience will be golden. So if an Orisha, I don't know, from some other Egbe who's visiting, the priest is touched and the Orisha fully comes down and they start speaking in Yoruba and your godparent knows Yoruba, your godparent can translate for you. Other than that,
Truth.
you would be like, duh, like, what are they
Truth,
saying?
truth.
And that is their job.
And another thing, if your godparent is not there and somebody else is going to step in to help, you don't know what they know. They might only have picked up out of the 20 things that were said one, and you're thinking that's your full message, and the one that loses out is you.
Their job is to assist you with that. And if they tell you to do something, they will either have it read, which is ideally what should be done if an Orisha says something, to have it read. And other houses, if an Orisha comes down at an event, it is taken as law. However, it is done in your house, then that's what you do. And then you will do that spiritual work. And in a way that is fantastic because you have now gone through a spiritual space, a spiritual, not even a reading, but you got something spiritual out of it.
I'm going to pause here for a second. Here's another of that place teaching that everything that is told by any other Orisha that is not your Orishas of the house has to be read. That is not true. That is not true. That is something that also needs to be corrected. Um, this is why it's important to have a godparent, because your godparent may be a lot more connected and may tell you, you know, that's the Orisha right there. Or I know this priest who brings down this Orisha. Yeah, when this Orisha speaks, you listen and they will have that information, but not that you need to get a reading after each thing that is told to you. I also think that this is like money gouging for people. And I'm ashamed that that's what I said, but here we are. That's what I was taught. Not anymore, people. Just saying. That was for partly the Unlearn and Relearn series, part number, whatever it is now.
Another one for you. Godparents teach you about the Orishas and our traditions. They teach you the patakis about the Orishas. They teach you how to pronounce words so that you are not saying something crazy because you have no idea what you're saying. And we believe that words are powerful. So if you're saying something crazy, it's not going to have the same strength. And it doesn't matter if you're saying it from your heart. Words have power, and they have to teach you how to pronounce words in our tradition.
I'm going to stop this for a second. I have known now that there are people who don't say certain words right, but they still have the great Ache. And what I understand now, which is different from this episode, is that, again, this is an unlearned series, I guess. The Orisha does know your heart. And you may not say, let's say, Kinkamashe correctly, but they know that you mean that for your godparents and your elders. They're going to accept that. And so I don't think this is true anymore. I would love to see the priests chime in on this. Should you learn how to pronounce the things? Of course you should. But I'm saying that I don't stand by this fully the way that it was taught to me. I rescind that at this moment. All right.
Traditions. They teach you about your lineage so that you become well versed. They teach you how to take care of and maintain whatever shrines it is that you have in our traditions. That means, for example, let's say you got the warrior. So what do you do with your elegba? What do you say? When do you say it? What do you sprinkle?
I agree with this, by the way, because every house takes care of their warriors differently. Of course, there are some things that are standard and there are some things that have nuances. Um, and this is where you need guidance. So I still stand by this.
What can you give? What happens if this happens? What to do and what not to do. That is their job, to teach you how to take care of that. Godparents listen to you when you want to vent about stuff, the world, the dog, your wife, your job, your favorite show on Netflix doesn't have brand new episodes. Okay, not with something so frivolous. But what I'm saying is, like, they are there They're not there as your personal therapist, but they're there to be an ear to.
Very important. They're not your therapist. So here's another thing that we need to understand about godparents. They're not there for your beck and call. This is important. They have their own lives, they have their own friends, they have their own issues. And if a godparent is really responsible, they're not going to be overly transparent with their lives with you, because their job is to guide you, not to worry you about their issues as well. And I think that's why godparents, they have a very big responsibility.
Listen, because when you think about it, your life is all together. We really can't just separate, this is personal only, this is religious only. I'm only going to talk to my godparent about religious, because everything affects you as a whole. And they are there for to help you. And sometimes they'll tell you, my experience tells me this is what has happened before. Try to get home a little early, get a little bit sleep, clean your home, or, try to meditate and then come back. Because sometimes you can figure things out when you speak to your godparent and they make sense and you follow some advice. And another times they can just say, you know what, I think you need a reading. When can you come over? I'll call my babalao and we will, get you straight. A huge one for you is, if you are meant to be initiated, the immense, intense, insane amount of work that this person will do for you is insane. It is maddening. I've only been an ajubona once, and oh my God, that is true work. And it's like, and I remember how much I got for it. And it's like, this is slave labor for what I got. But it was truly a
I mean
labor
that.
of
It was
love.
slave
It
labor.
was intense. And not just for that week, but many, many times before then. And now also after. So as an ajubona, you got different jobs than the godparent. But just to give you a point of view, I still go to my godson's house every year to rogate his head before his anniversary. I assist him with his Orisha castings every year. So that means that I am there the night before and the day of every year. He also comes to my home every year to.
I need to pause for a second. Remember, at that time, I was acting as a priest. I was an ajubona, and that was my responsibility. I would make sure that his head was rogated, like all of those things were done. However, because of the state of events, that's not what I am anymore. And he decided to stay, which is totally fine. I'm sure whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But a priest has very interesting responsibilities when it comes to making you as a new priest. And it's not just calling padrino and coming once a year or twice a year for a reading. Like, it's what they do is it is slave labor. It just is. It's so much work. And even if they ask for a derecho, it's just doesn't even begin to cover it of all the things that are done.
Pay homage to Yemaya with his family at my anniversary. And I will always help him with his anniversary until I'm really old and rickety and can't walk by myself. And then I'll call one of my grandkids to like drive me there and carry me up those stairs,
That was
because
my goal.
this is a responsibility that I accepted for the rest of my life. Also, you become, as the godchild, you become a godparent's pride. They work hard to ensure that you do well, because the pride of a godparent is when he or she has godchildren who are all thriving and doing well. we have all heard like, yeah, all that house, they're all messed up. That is not good. Something is not right there. But when a godparent commits, they commit to you, to doing well.
I'm going to pause this for a second. I actually just saw this on the chat. I'm a little bit delayed, but somebody wrote, Esteban writes, I know I will get a lot of hate for this, but most people don't need to get initiated. I agree. Could you imagine a church that's full of everything but nuns and freaking priests and there's no parish? It would be like a bunch of kings with no land and no tribe. It would be like that. So I agree. I think a lot of people now are crowning as their own personal choice, not because they're meant to. And I still stand by this. Not everybody's meant to crown. And two, if you're not meant to crown, that's a much easier path to your own spirituality versus being a priest. There's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of things you need to learn. There's a lot of things you're going to need to do. And being a priest is not only expensive money-wise, but expensive of your time, your learning, and you get taboos of what you can and cannot do, can and cannot eat, can and cannot wear. And you sure you need to do that? Not everybody is meant to do that. And I think a lot of people just want, that is one of the biggest questions that Orisha Wisdom to this day still gets. One, who is my Orisha? How do I get crowned? Oh, and how do I get a godparent? Those are the top three. All right. We're almost done.
In your life as a whole, not just in your spiritual ebos. Like I said, this is not a complete list, but I'm hoping that it gave you a decent idea of the why and what's of having a godparent. Thanks again, Maria, for writing to us. You have reached the end of this episode. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. A couple of things. Again, this episode was brought to you by Alejos 101. This program was written for the brand new person in the Orisha traditions, and as well as for the Aborisha and those who have been struggling to find their way, but they found the Orishas, they love it, they want to connect, they want to do, and they want to avoid issues like scammers and not knowing how to, to work with a good priest. For details of when this program opens up again, and I'm going to give you a hint, it's going to be opening really soon. Go to www.orishawisdom.com /A01 coming soon and get on that list because you deserve to start the year on a great spiritual direction. I mentioned this before, but I'm no longer going to be designing jewelry anymore. This is with Olubumi Creations, even though it is Orisha
By the way, it's not
inspired jewelry.
Anymore.
Sad,
it's your spiritual
but it's
things.
true. Like I mentioned in the last podcast episode, I really want to focus on the art part.
Long story.
And I want to make sure that it continues to help this podcast. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. I will provide the link in the show notes and get whatever's there because after I finish creating those, that's it. I am not renewing those listings anymore. Maybe the days I'll think about that, but that's about it. Now, for the sneak peek of what Olubumi Creations is going to be having very, very soon. Of course, the Orisha art and other things are coming. More of that is coming. But guess what? We are going to have mugs and something to wear. There will be t-shirts. The first one that I'm hoping to go out there, and there will be a time to pre-order yours, is going to have the Orisha Wisdom logo. I'm very
that's
stoked
true.
about it. I really
I
am.
haven't I
And
haven't made
other
those in a
t-shirts in the
while. It's
future are going
true.
to
I
have
have
sayings on
Orisha
them that
Wisdom
are all
t-shirts. Let me know
relatable
if
to
y'all are
our
interested. I would
traditions.
more
It's
than
going to
happy.
cater
Oh my God, if you
just
guys are
to
interested,
all
do
of
I have
those
one?
who
I don't have one
follow
close
the
by. I haven't made one
Yoruba
in a minute.
ways. So I guess that Olubumi Creations will have merch that will
Your
keep
spiritual
this
things.
podcast endeavor afloat as well. Keep an eye out. The website is currently getting a makeover. However, for the time being, everything is only available through the Etsy shop. So, tell everybody. Remember, if you have a burning question that you've always wanted to ask a priest in the Orisha traditions, Ask a Priest series here on the podcast is here to help with that. You can go to www.orishawisdom.com/ask a priest, altogether, no dashes, and ask away. If your question is chosen, we will let you know. So I'm
I'm still
pretty
doing that. So
excited
if
about
questions are chosen,
this stuff. I
I
mean,
just
don't you
fixed it
find
on
it
the
exciting? I'm
website, and
excited.
it's called
For show notes, go to
orishawisdom.com/askow.
www.orishawisdom.com/45. If you liked this episode and found it valuable to you and your path, especially this type of question, share it. Share this podcast episode so that someone else, your friends, your buddies, those who are also getting started with you, can also get something out of it, especially this one. Because sometimes you wonder, like, there are books. I could do this myself, right? We got YouTube. We could do it. This, I'm
No,
hoping, will really help you
no,
to
no.
understand, to begin to understand the why we do things and to begin to understand our structure. I would also be ever so grateful if when you have 5 minutes, just five, except like I always say it, you youngins can do it in like three. Hop on over to iTunes
God, I'm old.
and leave us a review. I read each and every one of them. It gives us the fuel to continue, to keep going, to creating more content, and just to keep moving forward. Those couple of minutes that you take may just be a tiny couple of minutes, but for me, they mean the world. If you're on YouTube, like the episode, subscribe, and click on the little bell icon so that you will be the first to know when a new podcast episode is uploaded as a video. Because frankly, I'm right now, especially, a real big fan of consuming my content through YouTube. Stay
Still
tuned
am.
for the next episode where we will go through another of your questions from Ask a Priest. I will give you a hint. This question that we are tackling with today, this one that we just talked about, is the perfect segue for the next episode. I can't wait. Until next time, may the elevated ancestors and all Orisha bless you immensely. Odabo.
Thank you for listening to the Orisha Wisdom
All right, everybody.
Podcast.
So the episode
Be sure
is
to
over.
check out
First
the
of all, I
show
would love
notes
to
at
say thank you for hanging out with me.
orishawisdom.com/podcast.
And I would like to know what
Can't
you
get
think
enough
about
of
this
Orisha
episode.
Wisdom? Check
I
us out
can
at
change my stance on
orishawisdom.com
some of the
and
things, but I
subscribe
just
to our
because I
community.
heard it, 'cause I don't hear these
Remember,
episodes right
the
away.
wisdom of Ifa and
I
Orisha
wanna
is
make sure
all
that
around
you
us.
enjoy yourselves. Now,
Be
remember,
blessed, and until next time.
I asked all of you to start thinking about hold on a second. I'm gonna go for my musiquita. I need better musiquita while let me see, can we do this one? Oh God, this is gonna put me to sleep. All right, we're gonna do this one a little low. All right, remember when we first started, I asked everyone, I had committed to 6 weeks of doing this, and just 6 weeks. Today is the 6th week. Is this something that should be continuous? Maybe another 6 weeks? Maybe something much longer? Do you think that being here every week discussing past episodes. And from there, I guess we could figure out, because we have 104 episodes to play with. So we have 104 weeks that we can totally play with and re-listen and talk about and discuss. Is this something that you think will be useful, not only for alejos and aborishas, but a place also that priests can come in and share their expertise and kind of have a community together? This is what I need to know, because I only committed to 6 and I wanted to find out if you thought that this format was good. So I'm going to wait on the chat. Also, I'm checking chat here. Okay, you're welcome, Tia. Good. You're welcome. You're welcome. I need to message you. I know you're on Patreon, so people, if you want to support me, go to Patreon. I really do appreciate it, and it helps. Everything helps. But I want to build the Patreon community to something that is special for just us. And I remember we used to also get together to discussions of pataquis and stuff. I think we're going to bring that back. I think that the community wants more community in a safe space. And I am interested, like I said, to see if this would help. But I want you to know that for the Patreon community, I'm planning other things that are just for them, other lives that are just for them. Okay. Thank you, Omiyori. Thank you, Tia. I know Baba Joe, you're always there for me. I know Baba Turi, you're always there for me as well. Because I know that this also takes a time commitment, and because I still can't figure out how to stream in different places. But eventually I'm thinking that once funds are coming in, then I'll be able to do something like StreamYard and do it all simultaneously, because I feel that we need to have more safe community. I don't like spaces that are yelling and making fun when somebody else is doing something wrong, because what if in their hearts, or that's how they were taught, and here we are putting our 2 cents in, making fun of someone, that doesn't show good character either. So I think we need a structured yet an open place. Does that make sense? So I just wanted to thank everybody. Today was actually a lot smoother when it comes to technology. For those of you who know, you know what hell we went through those first couple of weeks. And 1 week I totally gave up and I was about to cry, man. It was like nothing was working. But I was trying to do simultaneously I was trying to do simultaneously TikTok on my phone and then YouTube here, but it just didn't work out. So I'm still trying to figure this out, and I'm just thankful for people's patience, and especially when no sound was coming and the sound was coming, it was crazy. So I wanted to thank everybody for their time. I'm still waiting to see in the chat. Mercury's direct now. Love it. You know, I still say that we need to have a misa for all my technology devices, like my headset. Y se me perdió uno. I was pissed off. One of my earbuds fell out. Eso se jodió. I'm never going to find it again. So I need a misa for all of my electronic devices because they equally hate everybody. By the way, that's not a real thing. That's actually a joke. You know, we do a lot of red flags here, and I think we need to understand that we have a good sense of humor. But anyway, I am so glad. I'm so glad. The support that I've gotten is really good. I just need to get this more out there so that I don't have to give like text reminders. How does that happen to bring those people in? I don't know yet. I'm still trying to figure it out. But I thank everybody for your time. It's been a little bit over the time that I thought, but it was a short episode, but we got time to discuss it. All right. For the folks on Patreon, I'm going to get over there and I'm going to do some other things with y'all. So I do appreciate you there. And I thank you for joining me today. And again, that was episode 45 of the Orisha Wisdom Podcast. And I had a really, really nice time with you all tonight, and it worked. Tonight, it worked, people. So, again, I love you much. And the way that we end the podcast is the same way that we always end. May your elevated ancestors, may your spiritual court, may they fight for you, may they be there for you. May you be open to connect with them. May all of the Orishas be with you and bless you. And you know what? Let's see. Let me see. You know what we say in the religion? When something is old or not working, we say, dale coco. I love it. Bueno, yo no sé qué coco le voy a tener, coco rallado, coco con dulce, because I'm trying to figure this out. I'm just saying, coco con qué? I need to know these things. All right, everybody, listen, again, thank you so much. And we, if you have anything else, type it to me. I'm doing my best to be as responsive as possible. And, thank you again for all the priests that were here lending your support. I appreciate. And I've always said that Orisha Wisdom Community is not my community. That is your community. That is our community. And priests, we love you, priests, but you can't be priests without us. And we can't do our thing without y'all. So we need to work together, and we need to understand the importance of each other. And I still stand by this. The alejos are the jewels of the Orisha tradition, and we need to still respect our priests. So, hey. So listen, everybody. Mire, buena noche. Good night to everybody. Be blessed, and let's try it again this week. So for all of you, let's see if this works. Go click on that little bell icon. I'm going to try to do it a lot earlier to do it for next week and schedule it next week. ¡Mua! Hablamos entonces. Se me cuidan. Y'all be good. And we're going to leave this so that people can come back and re-listen to it and laugh to all the craziness that happens in this channel. All right. Bye, everybody. Let's see. Vamos a ver si terminamos bien. ¡Mua! Chao.